Hey, New York. This is EHCR, East Harlem Community Radio, and I am Miss Mordell's pride and joy. I'm Hosey Rowell Jr., next to the oldest boy. And today we have an interview with two heavy hitters and shakers and movers of the neighborhood. We have with us today Mr. Edward Gibbs, who's running for City Council.
How you doing? Bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
We have Miss Theresa Rowell, who's running for District Leader.
How you doing? Thank you very much.
Now, these two individuals was from the neighborhood. Mr. Gibbs grew up in the neighborhood. He's done a lot of powerful things in the neighborhood. And this is before he was even running for office. I just want to give you a little background. He's a pastor. He's a deacon of the church. And he have coat drives. He feeds the elderly. He does things for the little children in the neighborhood. And I think the brother should run, and I think he would make very good politician for the neighborhood. So we want to hear from Mr. Gibbs now.
Before we start, we certainly want to acknowledge Mr. J too.
Mr. J.
Thank you very
we
much.
haven't,
Mr. J.
Definitely a good young man we've seen in the community over the years. Yeah, like Mr. Rowell announced for me, I am a candidate for City Council in the 8th Councilmanic District. I can't speak factually on who else is running, but I can state that I am running. I am indeed a candidate, and I have a slate of candidates running under me for district leader, and I'm honored that Miss Theresa Rowell is certainly one of them. Like he alluded to a little while ago, I have done a lot of community work here in this community of mine for about 30 years now. But first and foremost, it wouldn't have been done without Almighty God. I am indeed a deacon at the First Shannon Baptist Church, and a faithful servant of God and this community. So I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity of just allowing me to come here and chat with you guys for a little while, and I want to thank you, the listeners, for the opportunity for allowing me to just talk to you about my candidacy, as well as Theresa Rowell.
We thank you guys for taking the time and the opportunity to come and talk to us too. So
Certainly.
Yes. Mr. Gibbs, you've been in this neighborhood for many years. Can you tell us some of the changes that you've seen over the years you've been here? How the neighborhood and the community changed? And
Well, I think if I start that, I reveal my age. A lot has changed in the community over the years. Even in this room, this center where we having this interview at, many years ago, was known as Ghetto Gear. So what we had was a group of young men and women who came together, and they designed clothing here under the auspice of Ethel Velez. In this community, growing up, we had community policing, and part of that community policing was that, the community was part of it. We started the initial youth patrol here in Johnson and Wagner houses under Shirley Stroud and Ethel Velez, where the city gave us some monies, and we purchased walkie-talkies and jackets, and we would walk around in the community with these walkie-talkies on, and when we seen a stranger or something looking wrong, we would call back to the base here and say, hey, Wappy 1, Wappy 2, send over a PSA 5 officer to assist the young lady in building 1591. Over the years, we have lost good programs like that, whether it was funding, politics. It just doesn't exist anymore. We even actually had a precinct across the street in 1840. Actually, PSA 5 was initially started in 1840 across the street. So that was our precinct inside the community. And, and we knew all officers by first names. I still can remember Officer Dixie, Officer DiOrio, Officer Williams. The name goes on and on and on. Now you don't know who's policing your community.
Absolutely.
And I think it's essential that we get back to that, because we don't know who we are and who's policing us, and most of us don't even know our politics and our politicians.
That's
so if you go outside and you ask 10 or 12 of your neighbors who are the current city councilwomen or who's the current assemblyman, I think maybe 9 out of 12 would tell you they don't know. And so we want to get back to that sort of community, where we know who is who and what is what, for the betterment and the benefits of our children.
Absolutely, I believe so. Ms. Rowell,
Yes.
you came from Jersey City,
Yeah.
But you was doing a lot of political stuff over in Jersey City. Your mother was political. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Theresa Rowell. I'm originally from Jersey City. I worked for the Jersey City Police Department for 22 years. I have always been an advocate in each city I am. I'm here in New York now, and I help with more with the elderly and the youth. I do a lot of advocate work for people who are having problem with their rent, the elderly people who can't read, that need some reading for their paperwork, important paperwork. I deal with the youth and make sure they get the right um, proper thing to do in education and physically. So my thing is that the problem here is that most of the elderly and the older people don't know how to sit down with the youth and find out what's going on. Not what can I do, is how can I help you, and what need to be helped. And that's what's going on in this community today, is that we're not sitting down with each other and trying to find out what the elderly need and what the youth need today. And dealing with the police department with PSA 5, there's more listening than telling, and that's what's going on here. We don't sit down and let them know exactly what's going on and why have gotten out of hand with the police and the citizens here, because nobody's listening. It's just a lot of telling and no listening.
So you say it's essential for the youths and the elders to really try to get together and bond, some type of bond and some type of communication.
Yes, that's the most important thing in this area.
Brother Jay,
that I
Yes.
see.
what you say?
I think she's absolutely right. That's the reason why at the community center we hold conferences. We have youth conferences where the youth can come out and talk to the community, and then we have where the seniors can come and try to talk to the youth. And honestly, it's very hard to get people out. So that's been like our struggle to get the community involved. And I guess I have a question to both of y'all. When it comes to politicians, I do feel we was just talking about Melissa, and we do have some politicians that they thorough. They've really been active. This is a brother who I've been in this community since Ghetto Gear was around,
right.
and his face has been around.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Right,
but
right.
Melissa's face is around. You know, Melissa's active. You got Andy King in the Bronx. You got Ruben Diaz Jr. You got some of them that's like really active, and they involved in the community. So
Very
the
much
question
so.
to y'all
But do
is,
you see them in the community a lot?
yes, I do. I do.
Great, beautiful.
Now the question is, being that you're running for offices, what would you do similar to the people who are doing the right things, and then what would you do? There's some politicians that's not active, that's not doing the right thing. So what would you do that's better than them? You know, so what would you do to change the community? In other words, or what would make you different from the other politicians?
Well,
Good question.
my thing is that you said about the elderly and the youth. We have to go to doors. They don't have to come out. We are the politicians. We have to come to them. We have to start knocking on these seniors' doors and get them out, let them know they're gonna be okay. We have to get them escorts to get them out, make sure they get back home safe.
Right.
You know, the youth, we have to, like he said, they're not coming out. We have everybody's name, everybody's apartment number. We go to their families, see what we can do for the youth. How can we help the mothers, single mothers with children,
Right.
the teenagers, that we have to open up the center to make sure that they get out here and make sure they get back home.
Right.
See, in Jersey City, that's what we did with our youth. We had volunteers that make sure the kids get from the house to the center, and from the center back to their parents. We didn't let them run wild like I see what's happening out here with the youth today. They have nowhere to go. So the people are out there waiting for them. And you know what I mean. I don't have to.
They're out there
take-
waiting to give them a package to go on the
Do
corner
you
with.
understand?
Right. Yeah.
So this is what's happening to the youth now, because they like ball, they like to play ball, they like
Music, rapping.
music, you know. They have a music thing in there that's not being used right now.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, all that equipment we have in there now should be used, and I guarantee you won't see half of the youth that you see now.
That's right.
Well, you know, first, Jay, I want to thank you because that was a good question. And, you know, and when you talked about, you know, well, when you mentioned that, you know, we do have some good elected officials here in the city, we certainly do. And even in this district, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Robert Rodriguez, who is our assembly member. He's doing a bang up job here in Albany, and then we have a wonderful, marvelous Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer, who, in her own way is just, she can do nothing wrong. She's everywhere all the time, and then we have the speaker who's actually the speaker in our district and for the city, Melissa Mark Viverito, who has a tendency of doing things her way. And I'll be frank with you, in the beginning, I didn't get along with her because I couldn't vibe with the way she was doing things. And so, but when you sit back and see all the good work she's done, my problem with her was because she was doing it her way. And though she was effective, it was like, okay, I'm upset with her because she's doing it her way, and
Right.
she don't want to hear me.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's not about me; it's about the community. So I think she's done a bang up job as a councilwoman. Unfortunately, her time is up. She'll be turned out this year. So what can we do to make things differently? A word that comes to mind is engagement. We have to engage these kids to come and participate in these programs. We have to engage them and inspire them to get involved with this, put up the community. Like right now, I'm so excited because here we are at EHCR. This room once was Ghetto Gear, now it's EHCR, East Harlem
Community radio.
We have a
Of East
radio
Harlem.
program in the heart of Johnson.
Yeah.
We have a new revitalized community center with, like she mentioned, music programs, dance classes, sewing. We have good counselors and senior programs in here. So we had to find a way to keep these people engaged and involved these positive activities. We so complacent with our way of life that we just like, what, it ain't gonna help us if I go out and vote for Dow Lopez tomorrow. What is he gonna do for us? And I think in this political climate we learned, under our new president, number 45, Donald Trump, a lot of people, we were so complacent because we all thought that Hillary would win.
We all knew
and some
Hillary
of us
would
stayed
win.
home, and some of us thought, oh, Hillary would take it. Me, myself, I'll be frank with you, it's a democracy. I supported Bernie Sanders. But, we learned through this political process that, we have to be more engaged with what goes on, especially in voting.
Absolutely.
What would I do that's different? With me and the councilman, you will find someone who's willing and receptive. I like to be transparent, so I would involve more people in the process. And though Melissa was effective in not involving people, my thing is, being transparent. I want people to see my relationship with development. I want people to see my relationship with developers. If I make a deal behind closed doors, I want people behind that closed door with me, so they can come out and say, well, look, he represented the people. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the people. I don't think
that with you.
I don't think it's much more that I can do different. I had hoped that they would be able to model their political career after what I do here in the community. Because if you look at what I've done over the years, as a community leader, a volunteer community leader, I've done just as much work as they have done without the salary. And I'm talking about the annual Unity in the Community
Using
Barbecue.
your money, yeah.
My annual Unity in the Community Barbecue, host over 1,500 people annually. We permit out the whole Jefferson Park. For this year would be the 13th annual. My annual coat drive, brings out hundreds of people for coats. We collect over 300-400 coats. Just embarked in a journey to Flint, Michigan, where we took over 73,000 bottles of water to the people of Flint.
I was just getting ready to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. What really set me up with this brother here is I was watching the news and remember the fire on Park Avenue there, when all the people, when the thing blew up.
Yes.
The brother came with sandwiches and 3 crates of water he was giving. I'm like, well, where's our leaders? This brother is not a politician.
Right.
He's a brother from the neighborhood. He's there with crates of water. I mean, come on.
Right.
Well,
We need you, brother. Speak.
Unfortunately, we lost lives at the East Harlem explosion.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, I'm not going to sit here and just try to hog up
No,
all the
no.
accolades. Our speaker was there. And, to be frank with you, that moment really, how can I say, that moment made me closer to Melissa. because as we was in the red zone, so the city and the fire department and emergency responders, they closed off an area inside Park Avenue, right adjacent to the explosion. And inside the red zone areas are the emergency responders. The mayor was there, assemblyman was there, and Melissa was there. But standing back and looking at Melissa and watching her face, she was hurt. So we didn't have an elected official. We had a constituent who was worried about her neighbor who was inside that explosion, losing their life, and that look in her face, you know, there was no cameras there.
Showed you
it was just
the
her
type of person
and her
she is.
concern, and you know, so I gravitated towards that emotion, and it made me see something different in her. The mayor, of course, gave his press conference. He came from City Hall, and then you had all the other guys who came in and tried to get into the picture, but our speaker stood there. And, you know, and the tears in the eyes and the emotions in her face, and she was worried about her neighbor in that explosion. So that made me gravitate towards it and say, wow, we have an awesome speaker.
Right.
But you know, that's a natural response, Jose. You would have done the same thing. You would have done the same
Yes,
thing.
a humanitarian thing.
You got, you know, people out there risking their lives going into this fire. So, you know, me giving out water and sandwiches and asking Dunkin' Donuts to contribute some coffee and donuts was a small part. You know, I think the real heroes were the firemen who responded. The firemen who went into the ash. The firemen who
But I'm saying you didn't have to do that. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. And this is the heart of, I'm trying to show of what type of your character, what, you know, where your heart is at.
Yeah,
you know?
but you know, I like the
And
word.
once again, see how he's pushing
Jay,
it off like it's nothing,
Jay,
because that's
Jay,
life.
I would like to award everybody that opportunity. So if you was in the neighborhood or in the vicinity 10, 20 minutes after that, you know, your humanity would have told you, Jay, react, go do something, help out somehow, some way. I think we all would have done that at this table. I think, you know, the accolades should come from, you know, feeding the homeless, giving out coats and collecting coats, you know, having this big annual unity event where, you know, nothing happens. You get so many people, so many projects, eating a burger and talking. And you know, so those things work out, you know, and opening up the church to the people in the wintertime when it's cold, and, you know, and paying heaters and heating bills so people can stay warm. You know, that's something you would do, you know, as a community leader.
Now, can I ask, how can the community help you? If you are running, how can we help you?
Well, you know, it's like I said, we have a slate, so it's not just see. I'm not I'm not into self gratification. So when I said I'm running for city council, Jay, something told me, okay, it's not about me, it's about we. So if something I don't agree with in the community, I'm going to look at the whole broad community, not just one area. And I've seen a lacking not just in the current seat, but the district leader seats as well. And I did some research in the areas that really need help. So I bowed down and I asked Ms. Theresa Rowell to consider. She does a lot of work here in the community. People resonate with her, and you know, it would have made a great combination in this district where she's running that, for her to get involved. So when I looked at the whole scope of the community and the opportunities here, I said, well, involving these district leaders is helpful. And so how can the people in the community help out? You can help out by coming and volunteer, but certainly we need you to vote September the 12th. We need you to sign our petition in June 9th. But
what's the petition about?
The petition helps us get on the ballot for city council and district leader.
Okay.
But I'm not going to ask you just to come out and vote. I'm going to ask you to do your research. Understand who you're voting for.
That's the most important.
What I found out lately is that, you know, people, they vote because what's in their mailbox. So, you know, candidates would bombard your mailboxes with literature, and they send you these catchy slogans and catchy phrases, and
They know your name too.
and they know your name and your birthday, and you know, and then they address a card to you in the mailbox, and you feel related to them, and you go out and vote, but you don't know this person haven't done nothing in the community,
Nothing.
and will not do anything. So we have to intelligently, you know, figure out who we voting for. I ask that you do the research on me, do the research on Theresa Rowell. We have Marcus. We have a few district leaders right now. I don't want to mention their names now, I don't want to, alarm anybody yet, but yeah.
I was gonna say the best thing for the community to help them and get involved is to get involved, like you said. We see things that's going wrong in the community. We don't have to wait to call us up. We do it ourselves. We see the youths need help. We try to talk to them. So I believe that if the whole community gets involved and they see something wrong and they speak out against it, that's helping them. If they're given a function, we try to gather up people and let them know, listen, it's very important that the whole community get politically inclined.
Right.
Because if the whole community is politically inclined, we are strong and nothing can crack us.
Right.
And it's not what I can do for you, it's what you can do for me. I have to come to you and ask you what you need.
Right.
Because I'm already elected of what I am, so I need to come to you and find out what you need. Well, how can I help you?
Right.
Okay, because that's the first thing people want to come and put in their own words and and want to say, this is what I want you to do.
Right.
No, how can I help you? What is it that you need me to do?
Okay. Now
I'm sorry, Jay, to cut you off, and I want to be the first one to admit too,
Mm-hmm.
I'm by far not a professional politician. I'm not a professional politician. I know a lot of history about politics, but I'm not a professional politician. I'm just an ordinary person trying to do extraordinary things for this community. And so if there's a need and I'm able, I'm a servant. So I'm not gonna sit up here and give you a bunch of campaign rhetorics. I'm not gonna bombard your earlobes with slogans. I don't have it, but if there's a vacancy, I'm gonna try to fulfill it. If someone is hungry, I'm gonna try to feed you. If someone's unemployed, I'm gonna try to get you a job. If someone is homeless, we're gonna work together and get you an apartment. If someone is facing eviction, we're going to 250 Broadway together. I have a lot of pledges that I'm making in this candidacy, Jay, and I'll share two with you right now, and you hear it first. Now, today's date is March, the 3rd? March 2nd?
March 2nd.
Today's March 2nd.
March 2nd.
So, outside of Ed Gibbs, no one else has announced that they're running. I know there's a few people who have exploratory committees. Who I'm not going to mention their names, so it's about 2 or 3 of them who are considering on running. But Ed Gibbs today, March 2nd, here at EHCR.
yes, in Johnson Housing.
In Johnson Houses, I'm going to share with you right now 2 of my pledges. It's 8 pledges that I'm making, but 2 of them, during Melissa's tenure as City Councilwoman and Speaker, she gave City Council a raise. So every council member makes now around $148,000 to $150,000 a year. $148,000 and $150,000 a year. My pledge is that the first 2 years, when and if elected to City Council, I'm giving my first 2 years' salary up $250,000. I'm giving my first 2 years' salaries up and splitting that up among the communities and the community organizations and Johnson,
Wow.
Wagner, Taft,
Wow.
East Harlem.
Did you hear that, East Harlem?
I'm giving up
Nice.
$250,000, my first pledge. I'm giving
Wow.
up
I got to get out here and vote now.
the first 2 years. My second pledge, I know everybody's gonna try to jump on the first pledge. And my second pledge is that, when and if elected, I'm not going to open up an office space for the first 2 years. I'm gonna have a mobile unit, meaning
That's what I'm
that
talking about.
we're gonna rent like a little Winnebago or a little small office space, and in each ED in the district here from Manhattan to Bronx, we're gonna have every week a corner where we're situated. So we bringing politics back to the people.
That's right.
So if someone have a care or concern or a comment, they're able to come out their door and see their councilman. So when I'm not inside the chambers, I'm right there in the corner talking to the people and the constituents.
I like that.
I have about 6 other pledges, but I'm not gonna give those out right now, Jay.
Well, those 2 is good, and we got more shows to go, so those 2 is good.
Really
Yes,
good.
yes,
But can you let me hold something? I'm kind
Look,
of.
and I'll be the first one to tell you here at EHCR, I'm broke. And when I share that with my old lady and family, they think, "Are you serious?" But let me
We're
tell
gonna
you,
make the community rich again, though.
and let me tell you, you know who would benefit from that $250,000 in 2 years? Wonderful organizations like EHCR.
Of course.
You have a dance class over there who I see kids participate in. Jay's doing sewing. I'm quite sure he could use some sewing machines. The seniors, they go to Walmart every week or every other week. Maybe they like to go
Remember
on
the
a
bus
couple.
rides they used to give once a month for the seniors?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had a bus ride once a month.
You know.
All
On
the
Mother's
time.
Day, get their
Right.
hair and
Did
nails
they,
done.
yeah,
Have a
that would be
Mother's have a
beautiful.
Mother's Day dance for
Well,
them,
actually,
but get their hair and their nails done.
just to plug, this year we're attempting to do a Mother's Day and tribute to the men. So to let the men come out, so that the women and the men can, can be a community again.
Okay.
Now I have a hard one for y'all.
Yes.
You mentioned Miss Velez.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Velez has a program that we're doing called the SAFE program, which is Stop All Feuding in East Harlem. Is basically for the teens to sit back and, as I said, talk to the community and us to listen to them.
Yes.
It's my job to come up with the topics and the things to talk about. And when I had a certain topic that I had to ask Ms. Velez about, that when we on Friday nights we sit around and we talk to the teens,
Okay.
and I felt like there was something that was like really big but over the teens' heads, and what should I do? And the word was gentrification. And she said, tell them the truth, and that's where we should start.
The truth.
So the question is, as far as y'all running for office, is Harlem really going through a gentrification situation, and can we talk about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch that first, Theresa.
Okay, go
Yeah, and I'm a hands-on community leader, right? So I'm at every community board meetings, and I know a lot of the developers and all the elected officials, and yeah, we are certainly seeing a lot of new neighbors in our community. Gentrification is a harsh word in a sense. I believe that we are facing some critical times now, Jay. There's a lot of development going on here in our community. I remember many years ago, Posey, and you can recall too, where we had a lot of vacant lots, a lot of abandoned buildings, and during the Giuliani administration, he created a program where he gave a lot of brownstones away for $1, providing that you would do some particular development in it. And as a result, a lot of the properties here in East Harlem went to rich friends, and later on sold to fancy developers. And what's alarming for me is that East Harlem was always a tight-knit community. So even under Ethel Velez during the tenant association days back then, we knew who everybody was. So in Wagner, we knew that Katie Harrison was the TA president. Clinton, we knew that Sylvia Velasquez was the TA president. We knew that, God bless the dead, in Wilson Houses, Bernice Secretary was the TA president, followed by Ethel Velez here in Johnson, and Ann Straw was Taft. And so we all had this kind of tight-knit community. It was like a close families to say, and we all knew who was who. And now, we got a lot of building going on and new neighbors coming in, and as a result, rent going up. Housing niches making it difficult for neighbors to benefit from unfortunate death of family members, so you can't reside in apartments anymore. They come up with strict and stringent laws, which I agree with. If you get caught selling drugs on the ground, you shouldn't live here. I agree with that. But if you live in there and just so happened that you wasn't on the lease by the time your mother or loved one died, NYCHA should give you an opportunity to even bid for the apartment. That's no longer, and so you got these big buildings coming up, and and the rents are so high you can't afford it. So a 1-bedroom back in the days would cost you $300-400, maybe $500 a month. Now you can find a 1-bedroom for $1,500, $2,000. And if you look at it, Jay, so if you go 3 miles south of here, 86th Street down, east and west, they're paying $4,000 or $5,000 for a studio down there. So who wouldn't mind moving uptown to East Harlem in a new luxury building and spend $2,000-3,000 for a 2-bedroom? And I think developers and landlords are getting that greed. It's a market, and if you put if you go to 125th Street now, it's like a command center there.
Yeah, man, so different.
Yeah. So none that you.
Do you know? I heard on the news last night. They even trying to change the name of Harlem. They got it in a bid.
No,
Did you hear that?
It's
So
so
They
that's
what
on
they
the
both
west
got?
side. Soha.
Soha.
That's on the west side. But community board tend. I know
They're
you
not
guys
having
over
it.
there. That's not
I
gonna
saw the whole
happen.
interview. That lady down there said no.
That's not
It's
gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
But you know, if you go to 125th Street now, it's like a command center there. And you know, when the Triangle decided to sell Pathmark, you know, folk knew that we're gonna put a big tower there, and to make it appealing, we got to get all these programs that's in the vicinity with all their residents off these corners to make this property appealing. So you remember 2, 3, 4 years ago, if you go to 125th Street, it was like the land of the walking dead.
Excuse me, you're talking 125th and Lexington, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It was like the land of the walking dead.
I was just trying to be clear.
It was zombies out there, and
Yeah, sad.
And the people wasn't coming.
people couldn't go to Pathmark and shop because that one corner on 124th and Lexington was saturated with dope fiends and junkies, and we never seen a command center there.
Right.
When the Triangle Development, which is 128th Street and Calvin Bus, decided to sell Pathmark, that property,
Yes.
now we're talking about, we got a big developer coming in who's going to build these big towers. Well, who's gonna fill those towers?
Towers.
Rich folk.
The rich
That's
people.
It's not going to be appealing with a bunch of junkies on the corner.
No, it's not.
So you put a command center right there, clean up the corner, then you put pressures on the program, the methadone program, and say,
Yes.
hey, look, you guys are going to lose your license if you don't keep these guys in check.
Check.
So to answer your question about gentrification, Jay, yeah, it's real. It's real here, and not only are we losing our neighbors, but we're losing our vote.
Votes. That's right.
So when you got new neighbors coming in, and these guys, let's be real, white folk, they go vote. Our folk, you gotta, bribe them to come out and vote sometimes. And the new neighbors, the first thing they do is they go to motor vehicle and register.
Register. Yeah.
Yes.
So not only are we losing our community,
Yeah.
but we're losing our voice as well. I'm for gentrification. I'm for new neighbors, new businesses, but you can't evict those who've been here first. So they got these programs, 80-20 programs, 70-30 programs, where
Now,
80% of the buildings, non-affordable, 20% is affordable.
affordable, yeah.
And so.
But you know what?
Depends on
My take on that is you need to get some of these people out of here because all they want to do is sit up on welfare, don't vote. And I'm saying this for what I know because a lot of election time I get out here and I'm trying to get signatures. And a lot of people tell me, over 200-300 people, females, guys too, oh, I have a felony, I can't vote, and I'm trying to explain to them, you can vote. Females tell me, oh, I don't vote, but she's pushing a carriage. So sister, you sitting back because I know you ain't taking care of that baby. So welfare, you sitting back on welfare, which people died and voted for, but you don't vote. So you shouldn't be in this community because you're just a burden to this community. You're not doing anything. When you don't vote and you're in the community, but the people that do vote, you sitting back sucking up the benefits of the people that did vote. I can't stand that. So that's why, in a way, get them out of here. That's what I say. I think get them out of
All
here.
right, now sometimes I debate you sometimes.
And I love it.
I love my people.
And I love it.
Right.
And now look, here's my issue because I'm not an expert on this topic, but I feel like I'm blessed because here in Johnson is a nucleus that all of the developments come here to listen to the meetings and talk.
Right.
What I've learned was the gentrification part that I'm talking about. I was there on 125th Street as a vendor when the vendors got kicked off, when the first empowerment zone grant was coming, and then nobody believed it. Then I've been here at this center in Johnson where I learned that they was building developments inside of our project.
Development.
So we're not talking about the people or white people that move in the neighborhood in buildings and then we can't afford to live there. Right now, I could take you to developments where they build buildings inside of the project.
Washington houses.
And we're not allowed to. We can't afford to live in the buildings that's in our projects. So forget them building buildings outside. They're building buildings in our
Right,
projects.
in the development.
So that's another story. We can
Right,
talk about that another time. But the fact was that I had to bring out that if I'm talking to teenagers about basketball, we talking about education, we talking about sex, we talking about anything and everything. These is the teenagers that's not going to be here tomorrow because they getting gentrified, kicked out. They building buildings in our projects.
So this is what you talk to them about,
So
so they
just-
can prepare themselves, know what they up against, and know that you just can't lay back and don't do anything. You got to get up out here and you got to do something
and
with
the-
this.
so
your
we
life.
have war is the
Yeah.
issue.
And
Yeah.
only how they're building these buildings inside our developments, because the city is selling the developments out. And when a private owner buys it, he allowing, because he want it clean, but he can't just throw everybody out. You
Okay.
understand? So what he's do, the new owners start building these buildings in. After a while, you know what happens.
And Jay, you know what too? We have to get people involved. So if you go to these community board meetings, which addresses these issues, it's no one there. It's no one there from the community. Nobody comes out to the community board meetings.
Right.
Nobody,
That's right.
Nobody make their voices heard until it happens. A lot of people, are outraged now because of President Trump, but where were you when it was going down?
That's right.
So we got to find a way to, educate our people and get them more involved, and when we say that, people don't come out to vote and they're on welfare, I think, they have to be inspired to come out to vote. Certainly when Barack ran, we all ran to the polls.
Everyone.
People
Now
was inspired.
that showed power.
And we seen hope. And I think that we did that before. People would do that again, but they have to be inspired.
But
And
you can't just do it once. You got to keep doing it. Every election, you have to vote.
well, and again, so you have to be truthful and honest, and it's a sad day, Jay. It's a sad day to tell the kids, hey, maybe 10, 20 years now you won't be here, you won't live here. And I think as a councilman, we are responsible for funding programs to keep kids off the street and engage in positive activities. If you look at it now, most of our kids out here running the streets.
Run them up.
Yes.
What saved
I
us?
see.
Gangbanging,
We had the center
selling
right there.
drugs.
We had Aggie,
Right, it's no more community centers.
Lester, the
And though
councilors.
we have a beautiful center here,
Yeah, beautiful.
We need to work on outreach, and you said just
Outreach as far as what? Getting people inside?
get people inside.
Getting people
I know
inside.
that you are starting a great program called SAFE, with you and Ethel Velez, and we have a similar program now, SAVE, which is the acronym is like the same, SAVE, Stop Violence in East Harlem. Omar Jackson, I'm there
On 116th Street?
Park Avenue, and your guys have the same. They have the same acronym, really, which is stopping violence and talking to the kids, and I say, we need more programs like Save and Safe, because kids are our future. And if you're arresting them and they get caught with drugs, they can't live here no more.
That's
And
so true.
and I've seen a lot of development going on, not just here in East Harlem. Wagner, they're building inside Wagner right now. They built in Washington, in the Bronx along there. Mitchell houses, they building there. So yeah,
Sad.
it's real.
And just like you said, saving our children, and a lot of things that we have to do as leaders, going to their school, checking up with their teachers. Let them know they see us. Let them see us. Not just talking to them, because you can't just talk to children today. It's different. You can talk to me and you, Mr. Gibbs or Mr. Rowell, because see, we listened to our parents. We was afraid of our parents. Our parents didn't play. Children are not afraid.
They beat the hell out of us.
They're not afraid of us. So we need to show them that every time they turn around, we're gonna be there. Okay? And that support that they really need, that they're not getting at home. And they be able to come to us and talk to us what they can't talk at home, or what's going on at home, and it doesn't go to the police, that we'll try to squash it before it get there. You understand? Because there's a lot of things going on in the home that the child have no control of, so that's why he's out here. So we can try to squash that before it get to the police, or he feel like he's scared to talk to us because he don't want his parents arrested. They don't have to be arrested because we might could squash it here. You understand?
Jay, on Saturday mornings, I'm a fan of National Geographic, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
And on Saturday morning, I usually get up and, one particular show, they show, thousands of wildebeests, and they migrating from one area to another because the land is dry. There's nothing there, so they have to migrate to go eat.
Yes.
They migrate, go somewhere else, and that's what I'm seeing here in our community, migration. Back in the days, a lot of people from Manhattan migrated to the Bronx. Now a lot of people from the Bronx is migrating to Pennsylvania, and then you have this void, and you know, and it's sad, man, because in 20, 30 years, our kids won't have a place to call home anymore.
Right.
And we've all migrated, you know.
My answer to that, you said a little while ago that people need to come out, and I think that's very important because I'm here, but we have job fairs, and I have to run outside. I'm not born in this community, first of all, and I got to run outside to ask people to come inside to get a job. Okay, the next thing is the answer to the gentrification is entrepreneurship. Because as you said, you know, I made it seem like people are building developments in our who's to say that this was ours? We paying rent. Who's to say that they clearly showing that this was not ours? All right. So you know, so right now the entrepreneur piece teaches us how to own our own, how to have money so that we don't have to go move. You know, in Brooklyn, I heard Spike Lee say. Say that again. How to buy shares? Spike Lee said in Brooklyn that they've been gentrifying them so much that they only got the past Coney Island is the Atlantic Ocean. Where they going?
Right.
So in my generation, if my grandmother comes from Harlem, both of my grandmothers was raised in Harlem. So that means if from what I heard, remember the burial, the bones that they had in Wall Street? Okay. Then remember they said that we was gentrified and we moved up to the Village. Then I heard that in Central Park was called Blacktown. Okay, so now Harlem starts on 110th, right? My mother was born in Harlem. My father was born in Harlem. So that means that. So now, if we gentrify, where we going? To Riverdale? We ain't got nowhere else to go. We at the top of Manhattan. Where we going from here? We can't. So just like he said, they going the other way in Brooklyn. We going the other way this way. Where we going? And how many generations did it take? Because that wasn't too long ago. That was just like a couple generations pushing us all the way up. And somebody made all their money. They made all their money off of our rents. Now we going.
The main thing is that we see it now. We understanding it now.
He said we gotta come out. If we don't come out, we ain't seeing nothing.
You
we
see
all
it, right?
kicked
I
out.
see it. You see it. So now it's for us to spread the word and try to make a change.
It's unfortunate, you know, to get people to and I'm sorry to cut you off, Theresa. It's unfortunate to get people. In order to get people to participate, you have to scare them. So, you know, if you tell them that, you know, hey, you know, America is taking your EBT card, or, you know, they're raising the rent and they're not accepting welfare anymore, you know, now everybody's up in arms.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's real. You know,
very real.
We so complacent, we relax now, you know, we saying, okay, well, we know that welfare will pay, you know, the rent or a portion of it thereof. I have to give a part of my other rent. So, you know, we complacent, we relax. We don't care about, you know, repercussions because we think it won't happen to us until it actually do.
Yes.
And I think that was by design, you know. You know, it made you lazy, you know. I don't care what's going on in the tenant association meeting. My rent is going to be paid regardless. I don't care what they're talking about in the community board. Someone let them sell that corner. I'm living here in the projects. I'm safe. But you're really not safe.
Really not.
You're really not. And that's why I say, you know, you got to do the education. You got to know who you're voting for. You know, you got to, you know, ask questions on why they're running and know their history. You know, my mom's always told me everything that shines isn't gold.
Not gold.
You know, so you know, somebody
you
come
know
in
what's
with
going
a
on in your
professional
community too.
rhetoric, and they come in with this slogan. You know, ask questions.
And I support you because through my research, I always thought, like I don't know Brooklyn too good, but when I went to Brownsville, when you look down, it's projects after projects. So I always thought Brownsville had the biggest cluster.
Right.
And then I've learned through my research, I might be wrong, but East Harlem has the biggest cluster. First of all, New York City Housing, I think, is the biggest housing authority in America.
Yes.
And then East Harlem has the biggest cluster.
Right.
So if it happens to us, imagine what it happened throughout the rest of the city.
Right. East Harlem has the biggest cluster. Queensbridge has the biggest projects. You know.
In Queens, right?
In Queens, yes.
And the Bronx is what? Eden Wall?
Eden Wall.
All right.
So we, you know, Wagner's a big development in terms of residents in itself. So, you know, we certainly are occupying these developments, and, you know, we got to figure out what can we do, you know, to stay here. If you notice, we got a whole bunch of new neighbors, and I'm talking Asians, Indians,
Chinese, man.
You know, so, you know, before we leave our doors open, you know, my neighbor would come and eat out my mom's kitchen, and I'll go to eat out there. So we would share breads and sugar. You know, times are different now.
We living next door to somebody that don't even want to know who you are.
And our kids don't have any morals anymore. So it's like, you know, like the blind leading the blind.
And,
And you know
the
what?
elders are scared to speak out because the kids are so disrespectful. So what do? You know, back in the days, the elders wasn't scared. They'd let you know, hey, what you doing over there? I'm telling your mother, you know. But today, the elders will see it, and you can't blame them. I mean, you know, they see it, they don't want to get involved, and they just go in their house and close their door.
Right.
That's hurting us. But
Right.
what could you do?
Yeah,
What
but
could be done?
it takes a toll on you too as a community servant or a leader. It takes a toll on you, you know, helping people. Hurt people. And as a community leader or a tenants association president, and you speaking out about things that's going on in the community, and you need the community to back you or come behind you, and when it don't, it weighs you down. Like, you know, for all that she's done over the years, I'm quite sure there's been moments where Ethel felt weighed down. Things you've done over the years here in Jersey, I know you felt weighed down.
Most certainly.
I feel weighed down all the time, but serving is in my spirit, you know.
So can I ask, being that you said that, why would you take what would it prove of you taking a note, you know, giving up your salary? Would it prove to the community that, because you already proved you did a good job to us, what would that?
Well, you know,
A little more help.
I don't, when they announced publicly and through press releases about the raise, I wasn't for the raise. I think that, you know, $80,000 a year is sufficient enough for a councilman to go down there and legislate about who gets what in your community. When you gave $148,000, I was like, well, that's a whole lot of money. I've been poor all my life. I know how to make do. I've been thirsty for the last 2 hours, and I've been sipping this tea. So I know how to make do. So giving up $250,000 for 2 years and surviving off the little pennies that I get, I've been doing that all my life. So I'm prepared to give back to the community. And I've been giving back to the community, so now I'm allowed or afforded to give
Really,
even more.
yeah.
So, you know, I've gave you burgers and franks throughout the summer. Now I may be able to give you steak now.
Right.
So, you know, it's all about being a servant. I'm not in it for the money.
Right.
I'm in it for service. Yo, it's to see the people, Jay, when you serve over 1,000 people at a barbecue and everybody eat, and everybody gets along, and everybody leave, and it's not just the food, it's the giveaways and
Shirts
and prizes. We give away
Prizes.
computers and tablets, and you know, the barbecue is awesome. And then seeing people leave and people you don't even know, and then they approach you a month or 2 later and say, hey, look, I had a grand time at your event. I still have a t-shirt, or my son is still using the tablet, or we ate lovely that day.
Now, see, the reason I ask you that is because, again, I'm not from this community, so, and I'm glad to say that, because it's like I'm on the outside looking in, and I've been to other communities, and I feel like y'all community is different from any other place that I've ever been, and that's because y'all rocked out harder than any other place I've ever seen. And what you said back in the days about the tenant patrol,
right.
which is a story in history in itself.
Yes.
Then
yes,
what
yes.
you didn't say about was the camps that y'all used to go to the Fresh Air Funds,
Fresh Air Funds. Oh man, they,
Ghetto Gear.
my first
As
show.
you said, you didn't say. I heard Luther comes from this neighborhood.
Yes.
And I heard this street used to be blocked off, and y'all used to have y'all used to have your festivals right here on this street
Still
right
do
here,
every
right?
year.
No,
Lock it up
not
every
in the
year.
street.
We
They stopped that.
Stopped in the street.
That's
They
right.
don't do it no more.
So y'all got a whole bunch of stories that if you invested back just to do what you did when you was growing up, that would change Harlem. That would show, you know, then we could show you as an example. You have the experience that I don't have. I'm from another place, and even though I thought the little things that we was doing and the other things was just as large as the rest of Harlem, I didn't know how much of a history y'all had.
Yeah, Luther definitely was a good guy. He didn't live here though. His sister lived across the street. Ann Sanders and family, good friend of ours. I was excited to meet Luther on many occasions, but he didn't live here. But he came here a lot. But we did have some good people living. We had Hector Camacho who lived here. We had Mark Anthony who lived across the street. We had our
What's the Huggy Bear dude?
Yeah, he lived in 1830. So we had
Antonio Vargas.
We had some good people who lived here, and you know, and we have potential. You know, we have some great potential. We had a rapper G Depp from Bad Boys who, you know.
Now, I didn't mean the people. I meant the celebrations that y'all had was phenomenal compared to the other places.
You know, closing off the streets and, you know, and bringing out the food. And I think that's where I got it from, Jay.
That's what I mean.
During our Johnson family days, and You seen so many people come back
And they had
together, and it was like a
horses,
reunion.
the horses, they had cotton candy machines.
Cotton
and-
candy machine, we
Yeah,
had
they
dance
did
off,
it
we
up,
had
man. They did it up.
stages, we had,
We need to really keep that up. But fellas, we're gonna have to wrap this here up now.
Okay.
Man, wow, that was powerful, and I wish both of you candidates very good luck, because I think you would be ideal for the community. You've been in the community for a while, so you know what the community needs. You've seen the community go from good to bad to okay again, and my chips is on you guys. Mr. J here, he's one of our own, and he's doing great work with the kids. You can go on his Facebook page and see some of the costumes that his kids made. Beautiful. And once again, this is EHCR, East Harlem Community Radio, where we're keeping you abreast of upcoming events and important issues that affects us here in East Harlem and the tri-state area. I'm the one and only Miss Mardell's Pride and Joy. I'm Jose Rowell Jr., next to the oldest boy. And as always, be nice to someone in need, for you never know when someone in need might have to be nice to you. I'm going to tell you what the farmer told of a tater. I'm going to plant you now, but I'm going to dig you later, New York. We're in the wind.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
That
Thank
was
you.
good. That was
Appreciate it,
good.
certainly,
And man,
certainly.
I could see